such an asshole.
Hello, children. Young Cappy. Not young. Old Cappy. We're going to talk about a young guy here, a relatively young guy. And hopefully this will help some of you out there. I'll try not to curse. Hi, Clary. First off, I wanted to express how valuable I have found your work and look forward to watching your views. They have helped me with various things. Cheers. Some details about me. I'm a 32-year-old male from Western Australia. I'm in decent shape, weight training 4 times a week, and I jog or skateboard most days. That's pretty cool. Currently have $13,400 of debt from a worthless degree in graphic design that my boomer parents and guidance counselors convinced me to take to escape working in construction on heights. Yes, because construction is that's just so beneath everyone. Those construction guys who only like build everything in the world. I have a girlfriend who I've dated for 4 years. We live together in a cheap rental and live below our means. I'm never having any children. I had a vasectomy 2 years ago. My girlfriend also hates kids, so I'm safe there. Does she actually hate kids or just not want them? I don't know many people that, actively hate kids. I could expand my social circle more and explore other hobbies, but otherwise I'm doing okay in my private life. I own a good used car that I could service myself and no real financial hangups except my debt that I'm working off. I also have a meager $7,000 in savings for crisis. You know what's meager? That's not meager. That is 14 times the amount the average American has saved up. Median, I believe. Median American. I currently work as a mentor and instructor for an area. I don't want to identify you too much. You work within the art community where I hold various workshops throughout an arts organization. I'm also an artist and a musician. I use these skills to teach others, sell work, and do the odd gig. The only problem is it is a hard industry to get enough work in. For most people, most positions being part-time. My job is easy money and I'm paid $35 an hour, but there just isn't enough work for now. Well, that's because there will never, all right, let's stop. There will never be enough work. Okay. This is, I don't know if we gotta, hang on. Do I have it? Where is it? No, that's not it. Where'd it go? Here it is. I go into links. I don't know how many times we're going to beat this into people's heads. Well, maybe until 80% of the population stops majoring in worthless crap. Okay. I talk about in this little essay here about teachers and how they always complain they don't make as much as baseball players. And I point out that to teach, especially at the elementary school level, is essentially overpaid babysitting. Anyone can do it. Anyone. It's not that hard. But to hit a ball 400 feet for a home run or to throw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball or to be fast enough that you could steal second base, those are much rarer skills. Now, you may argue that education is more important than sports ball, and I would say you're right, but you guys don't educate your kids. You brainwash them because you're still not teaching them economics and finance. But anyway, but yes, education is more important than sports ball, but it doesn't matter. You know why? Because everybody is more than happy to spend $100 on 2 tickets and some parking to go see guys, swing the stick at a sphere than they are to go to another board. Gee, I wonder if we're going to talk about Rosa Parks again this year, huh? Are we going to talk about Appomattox Courthouse? Are we going to talk about all these boring things again? It's not what ethically or philosophically is more important. The fact remains that people rather watch baseball than listen to yet another regurgitated, borderline indoctrinating sermon about Marxism couched in education. And then when you look at how many, and it's not millions, I find out, there are millions of teachers. There's not millions of people that can swing a stick and hit a ball over a fence very far away. This is where supply and demand comes in. And like teachers or any other profession that's easy, you are flooded. The art industry, whether it's music or physical art or whatever, is flooded with a bunch of people. And that's it. It's flooded with a bunch of people. And it's the fact that it's flooded with a bunch of people. Some people will underbid you. And this is where we transition from a career or a job or a profession to a hobby. Because there's still a lot of people who do the work for free. And you will therefore never have enough work to live. Unless you have some incredible hustle, like my good friend Matt Baldoni, or other musicians who go out. Matt works side gigs. That guy did 400 gigs in 1 year. And he said, wait, there's only 365 days a year. Yeah, he'll play at churches. He'll play at bars. He plays his main gig. He is always hustling, always hustling. And most of the artists, not accusing you of this, are like, dude, man, it's really unfair that the corporate executives are making all the money, man. That's not you, but for every one of you, there's what, 20? They'll work really cheap or they'll just work for pot. So there will never be enough work. That's a side gig you have. Enough work. My job is easy. Money, do. I can't stand, but there's not enough work now. And I can't stand the feminist hostility I have to deal with being a white male. I also realize I'm not built for the nonprofit. Lick my arse and I'll lick yours. Yeah, but if you're in teaching or nonprofit or the art community, you're going to run into leftists. Forget just leftists in general. This is why any one of you make it, you're a sellout, man. Do they have hippies in Australia? I'm just wondering. I wonder what Australian pothead is called. The unemployment in Australia due to the virus is making it hard for people to find work here. So we're all clinging on to the work we have, part-time or casual. Well, see, here's another thing. You're not critical or essential or whatever they call it. All right. If you were a tradesman, if you were a construction worker, you'd be essential. But now I know this is because your parents lied to you, your teachers lied to you, and now you're trying to make up for lost time. I realized years back that I was robbed of my life and money going to university at 23 years old. I come from a background of little money and shared custody parenting before staying with my mother as a single parent. I feel like I was pressured into attending university because nobody in my immediate family had. Well, yes, you're the first. Dude, for anybody else listening, but I want to point out because you're an example of this. Families without education think that the end goal, they incorrectly think that the end goal is education. And I've seen this all the time. I'm the first of my family to go to college. And like, meanwhile, the dad, let's say the dad was an immigrant. He drove taxi or drove cab or whatever. Meanwhile, the daughter runs out to get some liberal arts degree that goes further into college to get the law. And every time they get a degree, an associate's, a bachelor's, a master's, they're all celebrating. Now, generally, if you're the first in your family to go to college, your family's probably poor and not really good at financial management. You might be able to get by, but they're not really that couth about it. And then they don't college. Well, then it's success. College equals success. That's what I was told. That's what I was lied about. No, nowadays, it just means you got a lot of debt, no job prospects. This is why it's absolutely critical you major in the right thing, especially if you're poor. I'm not berating you. I'm berating your parents and the people out there. Or people think, I am the first in my family to go to college. Well, good. I hope you're majoring in engineering because otherwise you're going to take a bad situation and make it even worse with your philosophy degree or your sociology degree. And then your poor dad who's working at a gas station just to get by with the family. Now he co-signed your loans and you celebrate what isn't an accomplishment. So there again, and that does not help any other people's young lives. You go K through 12 is wasted, right? Then you go in let's do it the other 80% of the time. You go, 75% of the time, you all go and major in stupid crap. And you graduate at 22, so you're not dead, as this guy knows. This is 10 years ago. He was 22, right? And then he's been suffering and struggling, doing exactly what his parents told him. Oh, you went to college. Oh, it's great. And you ruin the rest of the half of your life. Your youth, I mean. When you were younger, it was innocent youth. You were 4, you're playing with frogs. You didn't care. When you're 20, like chasing girls, 25, chasing boys, whatever, having a good, that's supposed to be the fun. No, how many of you are just under debt and working crap jobs you could have worked at the age of 16? And I know I'm pissing into the hurricane and yelling into the tornado because no one listens. This isn't going to matter because you all want to believe the lie that your parents and teachers and guidance counselors told you that you could do whatever you want and maybe follow your heart, the money will follow. That lie just keeps on going on like a herpes infection. We're never getting rid of it, apparently. No one younger has the critical thinking skills to outdo what their parents and teachers tell them. I feel a little bit sorry for that. But yes, this is how your parents and teachers and guidance counselors and the education industry in general and higher education and the media and everyone who wants to tell you the lie, they don't tell you the truth. This is how they steal your youth. By you wasting it in school And then in the later part, the later third or whatever, the latest quarter, where you spend the last 4 to 6 years of your education going into debt for a degree that won't employ you at all. And so not only did you waste your time in a prison called school when you're young youth, you've wasted it either in school or working for a corporation or an employer in a crappy job because you didn't major in the right thing, paying back the interest only on the student loans. And then your medium youth, what right before you go into middle age, is also wasted because now you're finally paying off your student loans. Maybe you're starting a family. Oh, we can't start a family. All it does is delay. It's what was it? Not delayed. Arrested development. That's all college do. It arrests your development or delayed development. So now it gets to the point you gals are freezing your eggs. That's a sign somebody lied to you and you believed then you wasted your youth as a consequence. Because now you're going up against hard biology. And you guys, same thing. How many of you, like 32? I know at 32, I'm like, I'm never going to retire. Not because like I want to work or anything, because I never have the money. Because I too was lied to and wasted all my time. There was no promised land that was ever delivered. And so, yes, you had your life stolen from you, your youth stolen from you. But I just want to point out the main culprit who is stealing your youth from you. I don't want to say your parents, your guidance counselors, your teacher. It's higher education. And it's Lori. It's just being like, oh, yeah, you could do whatever you want. And so not only are you wasting your time, but you're going into debt for these worthless degrees. But that's not what you want to hear. So this book will never be a bestseller. And then I wonder if the next generation will be asking for a $1.5 trillion bailout. I wonder if they too will be very angry and start shutting down interstates because they were lied to and wasted their entire lives. But you were the first to go to college. Shared custody. I felt like I was pressured into attending university because nobody in my immediate family had. Due to this single parent situation, I was able to roam the street at 13. I started effing up early, using drugs and doing stupid stuff. I saw people around me dying and decided to change my life at 22. Good. I moved hours away, cut people off, got sober, which I have maintained for a decade. That's awesome, man. You made a choice. That's the hardest thing anyone's ever done. You made a choice to change yourself. So I'm supremely confident that you can now and go change your career. You gave up booze and drugs and that life, especially at that young of age. That's truly Herculean. That's truly strong and courageous. I don't know if it's stunning and brave. That's to the point. Effing up as a teen and touring around the country in bands in my 20s preoccupied a huge chunk of my life. I will also admit I struggled with caring for my dad whilst he had cancer. He passed away 2 years ago, and it messed me up. I'm feeling a little better about it finally. There would be something wrong with you if you didn't feel bad. I'll get emails and questions. Something really bad happened, and I'm depressed and sad about it. I'm like, that's normal. That's good. Because if you were happy about it, then we'd have real issues. I lost my parents in a car crash. I feel suicidal. That makes sense. Don't do it. Talk to somebody, but I'd be a little bit more worried if you had a Joker smile on your face. That's normal, man. That's your head's right. I didn't know how are you supposed to feel about tragedy? Yeah, my grandpa died. It's great. Finally feeling a little bit better about it. Finally, no excuses. Oh, you have an excuse. Your dad died. That's the one area you should be forgiving yourself. Like, your dad died. Yeah, you should feel sad. I have adopted minimalism into my life recently. I'm also a big fan of Stoic philosophy. These two practices have greatly influenced me to abandon what society thinks of me and my career goals. Good. I will always be making my art and producing music regardless of the income. Oh, but you need income. But I'm not naive enough to think I will make a bigger career out of it. I do it for me. All right, good. Then it's your side gig. Okay. It's your hobby, and hopefully make a little bit of money off of it. Cappy, do you have any advice about how some my age and circumstances can redirect their trajectory or career strategy for minimalists that are tired of the corporate world and helping people industries. Well, don't work for helping people industries. Watch my video, Let Women Have Corporate America or something like that. It's either a video or an article I wrote. And it really actually doesn't have as much to do with women taking over corporate America as much as corporate America or corporate Australia has become more politicized that you do not want to work there. You want to be part of the 1099 superior race. Okay. You want to be a contractor, that type of guy. And just, don't know. No sane person works for nonprofits or education or or government, because it has nothing to do with what their stated goal is. Nothing. Maybe you go work as a cop or the military or a firefighter, but you do not work to help out the poor. You do not work to help out the children, because the people there are on false premises. They're there to make money, acting like they're curing poverty, educating the children, et cetera, when all they're doing is just making money and then passing kids on. And, we didn't solve poverty again. Help us. The children have been starving since I've been alive. There's always been starving children. I thought we're going to end childhood hunger. When are we going to do that? But if we end childhood hunger, then what would all these people do? I've been applying for trades, but in Australia, people prefer to hire young apprentices so they can pay them less. Well, you're going to have to pay. You're going to have to get let. That's the market then. I'm open and willing to retraining a little. Nothing, just not another 4-year degree. I really value autonomy at work and love your support of the security profession. Yeah, work security. That's a great gig to work while you're studying. Absolutely. I know I have some odds against me and acknowledge I screwed up as a kid. I'm not asking for a silver bullet or please exactly tell me what to do revelation, but I'm curious what your opinion on making a plan to take the reins again in your early 20s. Thanks for your time. Let me know what I owe you. Keep being an asshole. Keep you anonymous. All right. It's a chapter in this book. How not to become a millennial. Please read through this book. Anyone listening, if you're wondering how to sound, you're a millennial. You're in your younger 30s. Like, I had my life wasted by lying parents and lying teachers, just lying cultures. Okay, do you want to know why and what the solution? So just get this book. But what I want you to do is read the chapter, Lazy People Work Twice as Hard. I'll give you the general synopsis. You want me to give you, I know you said you don't want the silver bullet, but that's what you're asking for. You're like, what do I, and then you provide all these requirements. I don't want to go back for a 4-year degree. I'm willing to retraining a little. I value this. No, you're not in the position to do that. You're not. All right. There's you, which is maybe 160, 170 pound man. And then there's the world, which is a 12 gugazillion pound planet. I looked it up one time when I was making, and the reason I made that point in that book is to show you that you do not tell the world what to do. The world tells you what to do. Another way you can look at it, you are one person. There's 7.5 billion people on the planet. And this idea that I'm going to tell the world what to do and pay me for is the complete other way around. And it's very evident in your industry where it's music and artists. I want the world to pay me for my crappy art. Well, the world doesn't want your crap. I'm not saying your art is crappy, but what if the world doesn't want your crappy art? And musicians waste their lives trying to get the 7.5 billion people in the world to appreciate them. So much to the point they voted into law that artists should get some money. I think in Ireland, artists get money. I know here in the Twin Cities, like any new government building that goes up has to have a certain amount of art from diversity artists. I mean, it's like, oh my God. I mean, the tooth pulling you guys go to just force the taxpayer to pay you money. It's the world telling you it's really too hard. You're going about it the hard way. Now, you have wasted, Lord knows how. Now, think of all the calories of energy you went bumming around and touring, which was fun. I'm not saying it wasn't a good time. All this time and effort and money that you've put into being an artist in your career, how much money did you get out of it? Now, let me ask you this. Let's say you went back for 4 years to get a CPA. You went back for a 4-year degree to get an engineering degree. You went back and said you accepted the lower pay so you could become a tradie. Right? Even at 32, you still have the majority of your life ahead of you. Work-wise, I wouldn't even say you wasted your youth. I think you had a grand old time. I think you had a story. You got to tour with a band. When you're older, you're going to look back and say, God, thank God I wasn't in a corporate office. So I don't think you're doing as bad as you actually think. But yes, at 32, now's the time to get a little bit serious here. And you can either get the world to work for you, or you could keep banging on your drums all day with a cup in your hand, expecting the world to pay you for something it doesn't really want to. And now is the time to realize you cannot be doing, well, I like this, but I don't like that. I'd like this, but I'm not willing to. No, you're the world's bitch. Repeat after me. If you want to salvage your youth, you will get in tune with the fact that you are the world's bitch, and you will do what you want. Go through another example. All these young ladies, I think it's happening in Australia too. They all went to school for whatever degree or another. 80% of the time it's worthless. I looked up the number, went to the National Center for Education Statistics. Please don't question me. All right, but the majority of women waste their time in college. Majority of men waste their time in college too, if you want to look up the data. And what are a lot of them ending up doing now? Now they're going on to friends only, or fans only. The world wants to see TNA, Bob's and Vagine. They don't want some sanctimonious, pompous little 23-year-old pain in the ass lecturing us about whatever leftist political, the environment, the disability, the wage gaps. They want to see Bob's and Vagine. Now here you are. Hey, my dad just died. I wonder if I'm going to die too. Should I start having requirements as to what the world should know? You want the quickest, easiest way? Read the chapter, not stop being lazy. Lazy people work twice as hard because you're going to spend more time, effort, and energy trying to, I'll try this. No, you need to make an hour of your time worth, $80 an hour, worth $60 an hour. And you do that by getting a skill in the trade. And for whatever upfront investment costs it takes in terms of time and agony and pain and suffering on your part is going to save you an inordinate amount of pain and suffering. Maybe not 100-fold, but definitely 10-folds the amount of time. If you don't have an in-demand skill where the employer needs you more than you need your employer. So if you went and became an engineer, dude, you get to skip over Karen and HR. You get to skip, if you can become a tradesman, okay, fine, you're working in the trades. All right. And at rates that they pay 18 years old. That's the real market. But then you work towards the trades. You're probably more reliable and responsible. You don't drink, so you probably got that edge over. They're probably going to make you a foreman a little bit quicker because you're just older and more responsible. You work, you get your qualifications, your certifications up, you do that extra work. All of a sudden, you're making $50, $60 an hour, as opposed to what? Well, I'm going to become an instrument tuner. I saw there was a 3-month crash course on instrument tuning. And then 10 years from now, when you're 42, if you're an instrument tuner, you're making what, $30 an hour? Yay. But then you're a tradesman where you've been working the entire time and you're not begging and pulling teeth for work. And now you're starting to make enough per hour that you don't have to work all the time. You don't have your debts from a decade ago. And you can't ever really salvage your youth. Your youth is your youth. It's gone. Now you're an adult. Now you have to deal with adult things and adult people. And it very much sucks. But you can make your middle life, your mid-age life, and your old life way more enjoyable. You're just as conscient and sentient when you're older. Well, maybe not if you get the Alzheimer's and everything, but you're just as aware in who you are when you're an older person than when you were younger. The only thing about youth is you had no cares or worry because you were ignorant. Wasn't like there still weren't problems in the world. You just didn't care. You're just like, wow, I can't wait to find turtles in the swamp. And so you can keep kicking this can down the road and keep avoiding it and not try your best and not get into it. It's the easy way out. The true lazy man's way out of hard work is to do the hard work up front. Because in the book, I talk about my electrical engineering buddy and a gal who is not my electrical engineering buddy. And they're both roughly the same age in their mid-40s. Dude, he's got a retirement plan. He's got a house paid off. He's on easy street. I mean, he's still got to work, but he's relative. This gal, I think it was early childhood education, filed for bankruptcy, house got repossessed. Oh, and it's always men's fault. It's always, she's a big feminist. But you got to think about how much time and effort does she work? Like going to the bus. There's a huge time consumption. Like your goal for everyone listening should be not to rely on public transportation unless the situation calls for it. Like you're in Chicago where public transportation makes sense, or you got a sweet space on a bus line. Yeah, I take the bus still in Vegas. It takes me out to Henderson. So it calls for it. But I'm saying that should be your primary mode of transportation. Why? Because taking the bus eats away at your time. Your time should be more valuable. It's like, okay, the bus takes me for $3. There's a 2-hour ride I take to get to point X, to get to my job. Now I got to take it back. So that's 4 hours of your life gone. If you can be billed out at $50 an hour, that's $200 every day of your life gone. No, now you get a car. Now you move closer to where you're at, and then your life gets a lot easier. So my Vietnamese buddy, who's an electrical engineer, spends less calories of energy and also enjoys a higher standard of living. Why? Because he put in the hard work up front. The other gal, who was not my Vietnamese buddy, she was party girl and fun girl, and oh my goodness, Tina. Majored in worthless slop, didn't take her career or her life seriously, and now she's in pain and misery. And she's angry too, very angry. Electrical engineering buddy, yes, he didn't get to party in his youth. Hey, come on, man, you got to party a little bit. Come on, being in a band. Don't tell me you didn't live your 20s. You lived your 20s. It's time to get serious now. How serious do you want to get? Do you want to suffer more? Then take the easy way out. What it originally looks like the easy way, but will be the hard way in the long run. But the real easy way is to get off your ass, figure out something that pays. It could be the trades. It could be engineering. You could go ahead and read my book, Worthless. But I think you kind of know. The trades are very celebrated in Australia. And go out to some mine by Rio Tinto and work at a man camp and go make your money or get your certifications. Whatever it is. I can't tell you what it is, but I can tell you right now you're doing yourself a horrific disservice, and you will never salvage your youth, let alone the rest of your life, if you keep trying to figure out something that's not too hard, because it's going to be harder than if you bite the bullet now and get it done and over with. That's about the only way you can really truly salvage your youth, is by making your future not as bad as your youth. You don't waste your future. And you need to free up your time and your budget so that you have the time and the money to go live life. And people who major in the liberal arts, but then double down on master's degree and then bitch and whine and protest and are constantly begging the government for money or legs up or this, that, they've wasted their entire lives. It's a life of panhandling, white collar panhandling to get a government grant or this or that. And if they had just put forth the effort early on, they wouldn't have to waste all this time, and they would not be wasting so much calories of energy compared to someone who became a CPA, an underwater welder, whatever else it is. So you need to go and figure out what pays. Then you need to figure out what the education or the training requirements are. Now, if you're a minimalist, that's going to be good for you. You don't need to be a nuclear engineer. You don't need to be a surgeon. Okay, so those are probably off the table. But if you want to not worry about money, you want to not have that debt gnawing at you for the rest of your life, yeah, it's going to be like maybe you become an accountant. Maybe you become a pipe fitter. You got to do something so that you don't want to worry about money, okay? You've done more than half the battle being a minimalist, by the way. So you got that taken care of. Now the hurdle is that much lower. So you don't have to go become technically an engineer. Maybe a 2-year associate's, something, right? All you got to do is make 50, 60 grand a year. You're set. You're golden. Then you get to spend time with your girlfriend, have fun, pursue your hobby a little bit more. Maybe launch a CD. Who knows? That might actually, but it's not going to happen until you get a job that pays more than $35 an hour, 3 to 4 hours a week. Right? And you do it by getting the world to work for you. You don't work. You don't have, and by that, I don't mean you get the world to pay you to be an artist. No. What does the world want? Okay, I will deliver that. And then all of a sudden, the world acts like an economic engine and it just gives you money. So that could be you're a great bartender. Again, the more painfully obvious one is the world wants Bob's and Vagine, and the girls on Friends Only can go ahead and that's where they're making money. You may not like it, but that's what the world wants. Well, half the world anyway. Well, we've already known that. Do you want the world to work for you? Then deliver what the world wants. And don't give me guff about how hard it is to spend 4 years instead of 2 years to get that skill or a trade. All right. October is Black Men Out of Poverty month. Get the book, The Black Man's Guide Out of Poverty, either for yourself if you're a young black man or an old black man. You just have to be a black man. And in poverty, you want to get out. Or if you happen to have a fellow brother who is looking to get out of poverty and he's given the constant leftist narrative, you're oppressed and you can't do anything about it. Sit here and don't do anything, and we'll take care of it all by getting other people's money. If you would like to actually help out your fellow black friend, get him that book. All right, let's go into the super chat, see if there's any super chats. Oh, there is. Juan Cabrera, $5. My cousins have journalism degree. Right, Juan. What? And now I don't know. Are you guys second or third or first generation Mex? I know you're American. Was it your parents that came over? Was it grandparents? So okay, whatever. They're on the lower socioeconomic status, right? All they did was put a bullet in their feet with journalism. How much debt they got for that? They actually feel superior to the rest of the family because they're the first college graduates of the family in journalism. Maybe they could major in horse and buggy whips, huh? Hey, $25. Thanks, Laughing Lark. $25. You need to lower your game, man. I'm reading your books, watching your videos, and getting nothing else done. Could you be less brilliant, charming, and funny, please? You write very well. Thank you. Yeah, the past 2 months have been very highly productive, and a lot of requests have come in. And I may take a month off from asshole consulting. I have another seminar on that. That minimalism seminar is going to launch on October 25th. Again, for those of you interested, not for regular listeners. If you already are minimalist, you do not need this. If you have trouble spending and you would like to finally get your spending under control, take a look at my minimalism seminar. I don't know. Email me. It's on my blog, or go to Asshole Consulting and email me. You'll find it. And then I'm going to be analyzing the ROI of the pursuit of women, because we already did the numbers more or less, and I got it right. But I haven't had time. I've done this. I'm also prepping to leave out of Minnesota, so I have to do a bunch of. It's been very taxing. I won't lie. I've been in a pretty bad mood past week or two. But thank you for the kind thoughts, and thank you for the donation. Is that it? Ice Snows for $2. Cappy, how do I make the monies? You follow your heartsease, and the money will follow these seas. And if anybody tells you different, Ice Snows, they are an ist or an ism of some type. Whoa, hang on there now. Some type. Slamming on my own tribe. So yes, that's how you make the monies, is you follow. And if anyone accuses you of like, hey, that's not very practical, they are bad people. Very bad people. You can call them Nazis and other things. That it. All right. See you guys later. Toodles.